Hello, beautiful souls. Take a deep breath and settle into this reading because today we are talking about something much bigger than simply changing your address. This reading is about your move to a beautiful new location and what this change could mean for the next chapter of your life. If you've been thinking about moving, searching for a new home, imagining another city, or feeling strangely disconnected from where you currently live, pay attention. This message may be finding you at exactly the right moment. And remember, this is a collective reading. Take what resonates with you and gently leave behind anything that doesn't. For some of you, the desire to move has been quietly growing for weeks or even months. You may not have told everyone about it. Perhaps you've simply been imagining yourself somewhere else, somewhere more peaceful, beautiful, spacious, or inspiring. And there is something important here. You may have already outgrown your current environment. Sometimes your surroundings begin to feel uncomfortable before your next chapter becomes visible. The room feels different. The neighborhood feels different. Even the view you've seen every day can suddenly feel like it belongs to an older version of you. That's not necessarily a sign that something is wrong. Sometimes it's a sign that you're ready for something new. I feel a strong energy of movement around this reading, and this doesn't necessarily mean everything happens overnight. It means the process has already begun internally. You are starting to picture a different life, a different morning, a different view from your window, a different rhythm, and perhaps most importantly, a different version of yourself. Imagine waking up somewhere that immediately makes you feel lighter. Morning sunlight entering through the curtains. Fresh air coming through the window, a space that feels peaceful instead of heavy. You don't have to know exactly what that place looks like yet, but your heart may already have an idea. For some of you, it could be a city you've secretly wanted to experience. For others, it may be a quieter neighborhood surrounded by greenery. Someone else may be drawn toward water, open spaces, beautiful architecture, or simply a home where they finally feel safe and comfortable. The location may be different for everyone, but the feeling is remarkably similar. I can breathe here, and that feeling matters. Because your new home isn't only about furniture, walls, or an address. It's about the energy you're going to create there. I feel that this move could mark the end of a period where you've been constantly adapting yourself to your surroundings. You've spent enough time trying to fit into spaces that didn't completely fit you. Now you're beginning to choose an environment that supports who you're becoming. And this is where the reading becomes especially interesting. Your new location may also introduce you to a completely different social environment. You could meet people who understand you more naturally. Conversations may feel easier. You may discover friendships that don't require you to constantly prove yourself or explain your personality. There is an energy here of finding your people who inspire you, people who encourage your growth, people who make ordinary evenings feel memorable. You might find yourself having conversations late at night, drinking coffee somewhere beautiful, taking spontaneous walks, or simply enjoying the feeling of being surrounded by people who feel comfortable to you. But before that happens, there may be a little preparation required. You may need to release some things. Old belongings, old expectations, old resentment, old habits, even certain versions of yourself that you've been carrying simply because they are familiar. Your new chapter needs space. So don't be surprised if you suddenly feel motivated to clean, organize, donate things, simplify your surroundings, or completely rethink what you want around you. Your physical environment may begin changing before the actual move happens. And financially, I feel that some of you have been asking the same question. How am I actually going to make this happen? Maybe you're worried about expenses, rent, paperwork, timing, or whether the right opportunity will appear. The message here is not to ignore practical reality. Instead, it's to stop allowing fear to convince you that every door is closed. Start researching, start planning, start saving where you can. Start looking at realistic options, because sometimes the opportunity appears only after you begin moving toward it. You may notice that one thing leads to another. A conversation gives you an idea. An idea leads you to a search. The search introduces you to an opportunity. And suddenly, something that seemed impossible starts becoming practical. That is the kind of momentum I feel around this move. There may also be unexpected help. Someone could mention a place you hadn't considered. Someone could send you a listing. A financial opportunity could arrive at an important moment. Or you may discover that the location you've been dreaming about is more accessible than you originally believed. Pay attention to these small openings. Not every sign has to be dramatic. Sometimes the universe speaks through timing. Sometimes it speaks through a conversation. Sometimes it simply gives you a feeling of asterisk, this is worth exploring. And when you arrive at your new home, I feel there will be an emotional moment. You may walk through the door carrying boxes, bags, or your belongings and suddenly become quiet. Because you'll realize, asterisk, I actually did it. You may remember all the times you doubted yourself, all the moments when you thought you would never leave your old circumstances, all the nights when you imagined something better but couldn't see how to reach it, and then you'll be standing inside your new space. That moment could feel deeply emotional, not because the house is perfect, but because of what it represents: freedom, growth, choice, a fresh beginning. I also feel that your productivity could change after this move. When your environment feels more aligned with you, your mind may become clearer. You may finally have the energy to focus on ideas you've been postponing: a creative project, a business, a new routine, your career, your personal goals. Things that once felt overwhelming could become easier to approach because you aren't spending so much emotional energy fighting your surroundings. Your home becomes your recharge point, your peaceful place, your private world, and from that peace, something new can grow. For some of you, this move could even change your relationship with yourself. You may begin dressing differently, taking better care of yourself, going outside more, exploring your surroundings, taking pictures, trying new places, smiling more, not because you're pretending to be happy, but because your daily environment finally gives you room to experience happiness. And I want you to think about something. What does your ideal place actually look like? Don't just think about the location. Think about the feeling. What do you see when you wake up? What is outside your window? Is there sunlight, trees, a beautiful skyline, water, mountains, a peaceful street? What does your bedroom feel like? What kind of kitchen do you want? Where will you sit when you want to think? Where will you drink your morning tea or coffee? Allow yourself to imagine these details. Because sometimes we spend so much time thinking about what we don't want that we forget to clearly define what we do want. This new chapter is asking you to become specific. You are not simply trying to escape your old life. You're creating a new one. And there is a difference. You don't have to run away from everything. You simply need to move toward what feels more aligned. I also feel that this new location may teach you something important about timing. You may think you're late. You may compare yourself with people who moved earlier, became successful earlier, or found their dream home sooner. Don't. Your journey isn't behind schedule. What is meant to become part of your life doesn't need to happen according to someone else's timeline. Your next chapter may arrive when you're actually ready to appreciate it. So if you've been feeling restless lately, don't immediately judge that feeling. Maybe it's information. Maybe your life is asking you to expand. Maybe you're being encouraged to explore possibilities you previously dismissed. And if you've been waiting for confirmation, let this be your reminder to start taking practical steps. Look, research, plan, visualize, prepare. And when the right opportunity appears, don't let fear automatically say no. Because this move may represent much more than a new address. It could represent a new identity. A new routine, a new social circle, a new level of confidence, a new relationship with your own future. Imagine yourself months from now, standing somewhere you once only dreamed about. Look around. Notice how different everything feels. Then remember the version of you who was sitting in your old space, wondering whether change was really possible. That version of you didn't know exactly how the story would unfold. But they kept hoping, they kept imagining, they kept believing there was something more, and eventually they moved. So take this message as encouragement, not pressure. You don't need to force anything. You don't need to make a reckless decision. You simply need to listen to the part of you that has been asking for more peace, more beauty, more freedom, and more room to grow. Your next home should not only be a place where you sleep. It should be a place where your life expands, a place where you can create, rest, dream, love, heal, and become. So tonight, before you sleep, close your eyes and picture yourself opening the door to that new place. See the light, feel the air. Imagine holding the keys. And tell yourself, asterisk, I am ready for a life that feels like home. Let that feeling stay with you. Because whether your move happens soon or requires more preparation, the first part of every transformation happens within you. You begin believing that something different is possible. Then you start preparing for it. Then you recognize the opportunity. And finally, you step through the door. Your story is not finished where you are today. There are still places you've never seen, people you've never met, mornings you've never experienced, and memories waiting to be created. So don't be afraid of the road ahead. You may be leaving behind a familiar chapter, but that doesn't mean you're losing yourself. You may finally be meeting yourself in a better environment. Your new location may become the backdrop for a version of your life that feels calmer, brighter, and more authentically yours. Take a deep breath. Trust your intuition, but keep your feet on the ground. Prepare wisely. Move when the circumstances are right. And when that beautiful new chapter finally begins, I hope you remember this feeling. The feeling that somewhere ahead of you, there is a door you haven't opened yet. And behind that door could be a life you haven't even imagined completely. Your next chapter is waiting. Your world is expanding. And perhaps the most beautiful part is this. Asterisk, you are not simply moving to a new place. Asterisk, you are moving closer to the life you truly want. If this reading resonated with you, take a moment to like this video, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. And most importantly, don't give up on the life you've been quietly imagining. Sometimes the dream arrives first as a feeling, then it becomes a vision, then a plan. And one day you look around and realize, asterisk, you're finally home.